I'm Bill Ingersoll, and my boat is Calypso. She's a Saltram 40, originally from England, but finished in the United States. And I bought her with the sole purpose of coming to the Mediterranean and staying here, living aboard forever. And I ended up in Malta.
I know, it's kind of a nice place though, isn't it?
You know, it's a place that I read about years ago. I always wanted to come here, and when I read how incredibly wealthy it is, I thought, oh, I'll never be able to afford to stay there. And yet I've been sitting here for the last 6 months, and it's a wonderful place. It really is.
I think one of the things about Malta is it's super friendly. Because I think it's a limestone rock. The first people to get to Malta were like, okay, let's just keep going. Because there's nothing here. There's no natural resources, there's no dams, there's no rivers, there's no lakes, there's nothing. It's a limestone rock.
That's about right.
And yet people are, because they all live in this confined space, they're friendlier.
Incredibly friendly.
I mean, just people talk to each other. You'll go in line with the supermarket and you'll strike up a conversation with some 70-year-old woman in front of you because she's like,
exactly.
Hey,
yeah.
You know.
The people are just kind, and that really sums it up.
Yeah.
They truly are. People are immensely helpful.
Yeah. People have been helpful to me all over the place, wherever I've gone. But here it's like 5% more helpful.
It's true.
You know, it's like a little bit extra.
I feel very much at home.
Yeah. And it's very cosmopolitan. It's like there's people from all over the world.
Everybody in the world has at least one relative here, I think.
Yeah. Even if they don't know it, you know, it's like, and there's no theft. Because I think people are like, well, if I steal this bike, it's probably my sister's brother's girlfriend's cousin. I'm not going to steal it, you know. So people don't even lock shit up, you know, which is great, you know. It's really nice.
I take my dinghy ashore. It was brand new just a matter of months ago. I don't lock it up. I just tie it up while I'm ashore. And everyone else does the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just not a problem.
No. And it's like, last night I went out with some friends and there was a homeless guy. There's not many homeless people here, but he was, I was tying and I was climbing out and he goes, do you need a hand?
Yeah, I have absolutely no concern about leaving the dinghy anywhere along the
No, me
quay.
neither.
No. Even at night, it just doesn't bother me at all.
No. It's like just walking around, you feel safe.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. There's just. Well, I'm pretty street smart, and I don't have any sense of there being even the slightest problem.
No.
Which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I come from a little town of 7,000 in the States on the coast of Maine, and it's safe. But with a population of 7,000, you have 16 full-time police. You know, you start to say, there's a lot goes on.
How did you end up buying a boat?
I've been around boats and involved with boats a good part of my life. Starting on lakes originally, but I absolutely had to get on the sea. And I fell into an opportunity when I was 21 to sail around the world with a couple, and came home 4 years later, and you know, life was a different place.
Right. See, I'm odd because I don't really like boats that much. Sorry, they're a pain in the ass, and like, they're always moving and the wind's always blowing, but I like what it gives me. It's like there's a certain freedom to it, and you kind of end up liking the movement. And people are like, where do you go to the toilet? And you're like,
right.
On the toilet?
Yeah, the toilet.
Where do you get your power from? It's like either solar or a small generator. It's not that difficult. Once you've got to know the little ins and outs, it's not difficult.
Well, it's like It's like much of everything in life. When you think about it, there are thousands of people doing it, and they've all figured it out. So
Right.
this is not rocket science.
And they're not that. You meet a few of them.
Yeah.
They're not all very
No,
smart.
no, that's exactly right.
You're like, if that idiot can manage it, I can manage it.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them are. Some of them are very smart and
some of them
well
are.
traveled.
I'm in awe of.
But
really.
I think there's like 5 of them or so, and none of them are here. Do you ever get lonely on a boat?
Quite honestly, no. On ocean passages, when you're out there for weeks on end, you start to question your sanity why you're there, because you're just away from people. But or I do. But it still is such a special experience that I would wish it on anybody at least once in their life, because it really it gives you time to think, and that's certainly in our modern world there isn't any time to think.
Right. I mean, I found that I just recently I lost my Facebook account. I couldn't log in. It was still there. I could see it from other places. I could still see it, but I couldn't get to it. And I felt horribly cut off from all of my friends. Now, when I logged on, I thought there'd be 100 messages going, "We miss you." There were like 18 messages, and most of them were spam.
Nobody missed you.
No one missed me, which was a bit hurtful. But, you know, it just felt that I could get back in touch with my friends if I wanted to.
Sure, absolutely.
And then you email them going, "I'm back," and they're like, "Were you, what?" Yeah, it's a little disappointing. But,
Yeah. But in the good old days, 100 years ago, when I set
when you
off the
started
first
selling,
time, we just wrote letters to family and friends saying that we would be in such and such a place in X number of weeks, and that was it.
Right.
There was no communications other than that. When you arrived, you'd have mail waiting for you,
right.
and that was the only form of communication that you had.
Yeah.
And it was just normal. It was not a problem.
And nowadays you can you could watch porn in the middle of the Atlantic
That's
Ocean
exactly right.
via your Starlink
That's
connection,
exactly
which is probably what a lot of people are doing. I wonder what percentage of Starlink data is actually just naked people humping. I don't know. Right?
That's an interesting thought.
If anyone knows the answer, answer's on a postcard.
The entire interior of the boat was finished by Nick Nicholson over a 10-year period. He was the original owner of the boat. But the finest of mahogany and teak to go into the boat. The bulkheads are all butternut, which was a traditional paneling wood back 100 years ago. And it's very almost rare today. It's really becoming extinct in the United States. What else can I say? His wife did all the finish work on it, so it still has, after 34 years, the original varnish and paint inside, and it's just flawless. I mean, it's really very nice.
So what made you want to go to the Mediterranean? Because the Mediterranean is not like British Columbia, was it?
Yeah,
Very different.
it's very different. Really, it's just the history, the civilization, the cultures. There's just so much in the Med. You could spend your whole life here.
Mistakes. What mistakes have you made? I mean, I've run my boat onto a hard place more than once and got away with it. But tell me what you might have.
I've done the same thing twice, and in both cases I was single-handing, and in both cases it was very much my own fault.
Do you find that, I mean, if you live on a boat, you're closer to death all the time than anyone who doesn't live on a boat.
Oh no. No, it's vastly safer living on a boat than it is to live on land.
You think so?
Just getting in your car and driving to work in the morning is far more dangerous than what we're doing living on boats and traveling around. Yeah.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
the statistics.
Yeah.
I'm going to look
It
that up.
gets exciting at times, there's no question. But the real danger aspect, I'll put it to you this way, if you're using your head and you're not trying to do things in the wrong time of year, there's very little chance that you're going to have any kind of a serious problem that's going to be life-threatening.
Right.
Coming across the Atlantic, I mean, you just get out there, point the darn thing in the direction you want to go, and you'll get there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think I'll ever cross the Atlantic. I mean, it's like people said to me, "What boat have you got?" I have a motorboat, and it doesn't feel like a real boat. It feels like a sort of slightly exaggerated toy, which it is. But I don't know if I'll ever buy a sailing boat, but I might. I think when I decide to give up on life, I'll just buy a sailing boat, because then it's like, well, who gives a shit anyway? You know, you're almost dead. You might as well. You know, no girl's ever gonna be like banging on the, you know, it's like, no. So if you're sailing in the Mediterranean, you're like going to Spain from here, you go to sleep. And so what do you do? I mean, this is actually a serious question. I don't know what you just go, okay, we're going that way. You look on the, I don't know, do you have a radar dome?
I have radar, yes.
You have radar?
Yes.
But does it have a warning going, you're about to crash into a super tanker?
Yes.
Because a super tanker is just going to go,
Yes.
I mean, they might try and stop, but
They can't.
They can't.
No, something like a super tanker, it takes them, I think I read 2 miles
At
going
least.
full astern
Yeah.
to come to a stop.
Right. So,
But no, this is where this AIS, the automatic identification system, comes in, because you can see on your chart plotter, which is basically your electronic chart, you can see on there every vessel around you, and all you have to do is click on each one of those, and it will tell you whether that vessel is a danger or not.
Right.
It'll tell you their direction they're going in, their speed, the.
but you're asleep.
Okay, but you set an alarm.
So how's the alarm work?
The alarm senses this, and the same thing on the radar.
Right.
And bingo.
So like, if the boat is going parallel, the alarm doesn't go off. If it starts to like turn towards you, it'll go ping.
That's right. That's right. If it's crossing your course, and there's any danger of you meeting in
Right.
a point, because if it passes ahead of you or behind you, it's not a
Right.
danger. Then yeah,
And do boats legally have to have AIS?
they don't. No.
So
Big ships, by law,
right, more
must
than
carry
a
it.
certain size.
and large fishing boats must
Yeah.
carry it. But all the rest of us don't have to have that.
Right.
And this AIS basically is like air traffic control.
Except there's no one watching.
Except there's no one watching. But I mean, I have sailed by myself. I don't like to at night. Day sailing, I have no problem with sailing by myself. But as long as you have crew, then someone's always on watch. Someone's paying
Right,
attention
right,
and
right.
looking at the chart plotter at minimum every 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah. Have you ever met a flat earther?
I don't think that I ever have.
I met one. Well, I met one a while ago. I was on a date. I picked her up, and as we were driving to a restaurant, God, she said something, and I'm like, wait, what? And she goes, nah. I'm like, I said, are you a flat earther? And she said, yeah. I'm like, okay.
Isn't everyone?
And I turned the car around and I said, I have to take you back home and drop you off, because I just can't. And that was that. And then recently, Lisa Marie, if you're watching this, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she said something odd that I'm like, wait, are you a flat earther? And she wouldn't deny it. So I had to unfriend. We're still friends in real life.
Yeah.
Although I might never see her again. She lives in Florida. But it's like, I can't let people like that anywhere near me, because
hard to understand.
you can see as boats go away, they dip below the horizon, and they dip below the horizon because the Earth is round.
Yeah.
And it's like, if your brain can't work that out, I can't know you, especially online. So it goes a little strange, but
Yeah, in this day and age, it is difficult to comprehend.
it is. If you happen to win $500,000, would you get another boat, or you'd stick with this one? And
I'm in love with this boat
Right.
in many respects, but I might be induced, but I don't know what it would be. I really at this
those
point,
oysters are nice. That you yeah.
they're not bad.
Get a catamaran. Would you?
For living on a catamaran is just it really is wonderful. There's no question. But I think I will probably always be a monohull.
It's like their catamaran and monohull is bigger than Android and iPhone. They're like
The two different worlds.
yeah. Why would I talk to you? You've got a catamaran.
Yeah.
It's a little
I
strange.
mean, every time I go aboard a catamaran, it's pretty nice.
But you're like, yeah, this is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, this is
Look,
cool.
It's not rocking sideways.
Yeah.
Do you ever contemplate death? Like, what are you gonna do? I mean, you're a spring chicken now, but it's like I found myself wondering, what will I just like set a course to the middle of the ocean and just like,
Well, first of all, it's I've heard rumors that we don't live forever.
yeah.
And but I try not to worry about it too much because I'm still healthy and
Yeah.
going. I mean, I'm 77, but I'm going to keep going for a lot longer.
Would you encourage other people who are retired? I mean, what did you do before you retired?
I've been working in real estate sales for the past 27 years, but I
Okay.
was a professional photographer before that.
Right. But it's someone. I mean, I think the idea of retiring at 65 is fucking stupid.
Oh yeah.
You're way too old to retire at 65.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
set your life up so you can retire. My idea is to retire at 42.
Yeah.
Because 42,
Yeah.
that's a good time to retire.
It's a perfect age.
But make sure you got some residue income coming in.
That's
You don't need that much.
critical.
It's like I'm going to do a film. I'm 65. I'm old as well. I feel like I'm as old as that freaking fort over there. But I'm trying to raise money, and there's people out there. I'm talking to you people, by the way. There's people out there who I know they're lawyers. They made a ton of cash, and they're retirement age, and they're like, they can't afford the 5 or 10 euros, dollars, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, what are you gonna do with all your money? You're gonna die rich, and that's the stupidest idea
That's
ever.
very
My idea is to die poor. My mother had the right idea. She didn't die poor, but she'd spent, as she got older, she was spending her money, and as it began to run out, she just happened to die. She was 92.
That's perfect.
But it's perfect because die with no money.
Absolutely.
Success.
Absolutely.
I mean, she flew all around the world, traveled to Australia, New Zealand, Alaska, whatever. But to die with money seems like a huge failure.
It's a major failure.
Huge.
That money should have been doing something.
Yeah. So I'll put a GoFundMe link at the bottom of the page. Is it still recording? Let me just check. It's still recording. It's still recording. Good.
And my mother was still dancing every Friday night until she was 83.
Wow, that's great.
That's not bad.
No, that's really good. More people should dance.
Yes.
You know.
Well, and that's one of the good things about this lifestyle. It's a very active lifestyle.
It is.
And,
it's like if you're always climbing up something,
it's
climbing
up,
doing
down,
something, getting under it.
Yeah.
It's like swimming in the water. You're doing this, you're doing that. There's always something to be doing.
I once listened to a lady who this is her whole subject is older people and moving, and she said you should be using all of your muscles every single day, and I totally 100% agree with her. I mean,
including your brain.
Oh well, my brain muscle, no, that stopped working quite a while ago.
No, I have to keep the brain occupied.
Absolutely.
I mean, one of the reasons I'm doing this film is that I like the process of production, just production.
Sure.
I like it.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're solving problems. Even if you're working on a big shoot and you are a lowly production assistant, you see something that's not right, just fix it.
You fix it.
Don't need to ask people, just fucking fix it. You know, it's like a cable running in the wrong way.
Exactly.
Fix it so someone doesn't trip over it. That's your job. And solving problems. So doing this film, I'm solving problems all the time.
All the time.
You know, it's like some are big problems, some are little problems. It's like the opening of the film is someone burning some ants with a magnifying glass.
Oh.
And I'm like, where do you buy ants from? Where do you get ants?
Yeah, well, how do you get
ants?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought about it, I'm like, maybe they like sugar. So I put a sugar cube down. Sure enough, half an hour later, there's ants all over it.
All the ants you needed.
So I've got my problem solved, because the day I'm going to shoot that, I need ants. You can't just go and buy ants. I need ants there and then. So it's like, okay, now I've got ants. I figured out that. But it's like a little problem, but I need it for the film. And if I hadn't solved that problem, I would have a problem.
You couldn't start the film.
Right.
Yeah.
It'd be wrong. So it's like, okay, small thing, but it's a big thing. So yeah, I like, and being on a boat feels like you're working in production all the time.
It's always solving problems.
Always solving problems.
And that's
non-stop.
I think that's part of the reason that we all do this.
I think so too.
It just makes it supremely interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure that there are a number of ladies sailing who would not agree with me on that, because sometimes it seems like that's all you're doing is fixing things. But still, it's overcoming these little challenges which grow into larger challenges is part of it.
Yeah. I had to unblock my toilet the other day because limescale had clogged it up. There's two ways to fix it. Burn the boat to the ground. I don't know, probably propane and gasoline mixed and then throw a match in it. That would solve your problem, but it would create other problems. Or you just roll your sleeves up and get dirty and then shower afterwards.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it. But I remember how good it feels every time I take a crap. So it's like, you know, I can sit here going, yeah, this feels good.
A double sense of satisfaction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Would you recommend other people to buy boats and go sailing, or do you think it's a fucking stupid idea?
No, I certainly would. I mean, it's not for everybody,
No.
like everything. There's a certain mentality, mindset, attitude that is really necessary. But the rewards are immense. There's no question about it.
Yeah, even if they only exist in your brain and no one knows.
Well, the thing is, you undergo all kinds of hardships, but you overcome them,
Yeah,
and that's all part of life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great,
good.
and it's worth it.
Good talking to you. Let me just turn this one off. Where are we? Let's save that one.